Happy Friday, degenerates and gamblers, fight fans and sports bettors. Welcome back to the Sharp Action Report. This is for UFC 303. Apologies for being just a couple of minutes late. I was having a couple technical difficulties as you do. Andrew, you know how that goes. This damn thing is plugged in, set up and ready to go, but for some reason once a month or so, it just decides I'm not going to work. Nothing changed. I didn't unplug anything. I didn't move anything, but nothing works. Technology. Gotta love it. How you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing great, man. Feels like it's been forever since we've talked live
Right?
about some fights, but I know it hasn't been that long. It just time flies, and it's been a while since we've had a good pay-per-view card like this. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this card, and I think the handle this week, going from a Connor fight to this fight, it's a big difference, but this is like still a really high handle pay-per-view card in comparison to the rest of the year so far.
All right. Well, I'm happy to hear that, at least as far as the handle not being so bad. I'm sure nothing gets the action that a McGregor card gets. But man, I don't know about you. For me personally, this card ended up better than a McGregor card. Like, I know it fell apart and they had to rebook a whole bunch of fights. I wish Jamal Hill was still on the card. But everything else, I like this card better than the one that they originally announced. The one originally felt like it was just super top heavy, like it was McGregor and it was a co-main event, not even a
Yeah.
big co-main event, but just a co-main event. And then it was a bunch of meh fights on kind of the rest of the card. So these other ones that kind of filled in and replaced, I like it better.
Yeah, I hear you. I feels like what they were trying to do with the Connor fight is just kind of promote some of these young prospects, the Garys, the
Yep.
Talbots, a lot of those guys, and I feel like that's a smart strategy. If you have Connor fighting, you're just bringing eyes to the guys that the UFC is clearly trying to push. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, you could see some of the prices. I've definitely moved a lot to some of those prospects that the UFC is trying to push this week for sure.
There's been a lot of movement this week.
Yeah.
A lot of movement this week. All right, folks, let's get straight on into it. Hey, this is the home of fight. Do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hey, jump in the Discord so you can hang out and talk fights with all of us. We are joined by Andrew from Superbook Sports. He's going to give us a little bit of a peek across the counter. Let us know sharp, notable, public who's doing what on these cards. It's not really a prediction show, it's more informational for you guys listening. So make sure you show him some love and support. Make sure you give a shout out to Superbook Sports, because hey, they don't have to do this for us. They're doing it because they like me. So let's go ahead and get on into it, man. First fight of the night, Ricky Simone takes on Lock Dog Vinicius Oliveira. It's an interesting spot where initially it looked like the money kind of came in on Oliveira right away. And that makes sense. He's got a KO of the year contender type of performance in his last fight, but then it's kind of trickled back the other way where Simone is kind of getting the action. It's about where I saw it kind of pop up opening in the first place. What are you guys seeing? Is there anything notable on this fight? I'm a little confused on this one, quite frankly, man. I started off thinking Simone was probably good chalk, and then I thought maybe I could get talked into a dog, and I ended up just kind of passing. I haven't done anything as far as a bet goes so far.
Yeah, this is a fun fight. So you kind of had the breakdown right off the beginning. We did get some Oliveira money early, and we opened this thing at 250. It kind of shot down a little bit towards 230 ish. But at that point, we did start getting some Ricky Simone money back. So I'm going to say it early. I won't try to say it too many times, but when you have somebody who's over $2 here, you don't need to be too aggressive. Booking towards the favorite because you know that money is going to come. So it was nice to see some Oliveira money early, but we weren't trying to lower that favorite price too much to induce a bunch of wagers on Ricky Simone. And I think that's why you see the price back up at 250, exactly where we opened the thing. So yeah, not too much to report here. I'm glad that we got some two-way on this fight and some dog money early on this one, but nothing too respected here.
Good deal. Fair enough. Hey, we got a question here from Nonstop Philly real quick. Any word on sports Superbook coming to PA?
Dude, I would love our book to go to Pennsylvania. I mean, I'm not too much in the know on that kind of stuff. I know we're heading into two new states soon, and I think that will be out on our socials when that happens. But yeah, I'd love it to come to Pennsylvania because I'm a huge Steeler fan. So I'd like to get out there and rep some Superbook at a Steelers game or two. But yeah, nothing soon as I know.
Okay, sounds good. And yo, KCOH, just a timeout. You're not banned for life. We don't do politics in the chat. We're not starting that shit here. This is a betting show. We're talking fights and MMA only. Do not care which side of the fence you're on. We're not getting into that shit in my chat. We're not going to allow that. So you're not banned for life. Just a 5-minute timeout. Come on back and have some fun, but don't bring that shit up in my fight chat. All right, man. Next fight up, we've got Ray Tesura taking on Carlos Hernandez. I got in on Carlos Hernandez. This number is creeping down just a little bit, but Ray is still up near that $5 favorite mark here, man. I'm curious to hear what you guys are seeing because I am hearing absolutely nothing except love for the favorite on this one. A couple degenerates like myself have taken a few little dart throws on the underdog, but it's interesting to see the number come down. What's going on?
Yeah, I think you're definitely right that a majority of the money has been on the favorite. This is one kind of similar to the other one. We did get a couple biters on Hernandez, but it really wasn't anything significant. And I'd say this one is more of a fight that we feel like we need to protect that favorite side because somebody who's over $4, you're not going to get a lot of people coming in to lay that favorite price, but he is going to be attached to the Talbot parlays, So we've done our best to try to protect this fight. I wouldn't say there's anything too notable on the fight side. We did get a really respected bet on the over, laying a little bit of chalk at 150 over 1.5, which was the price earlier. It's sitting 170 now, but out of everything on this fight, that's what I would say was most notable in my personal opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I found it interesting that they lined this fight at 1.5 in the first place. I was a little surprised we weren't seeing a 2.5. I think the over makes sense. I think fight goes the distance makes some sense. So it's very intriguing to me that we've got a 1.5, even though it's a chalked up line. This kid is making his UFC debut. You're not necessarily expecting him to dice a UFC veteran in round 1. So I think over makes a lot of sense in that spot. And hey, I'll be the degen that rolls the dice on the dog. Andre Arlovski comes back yet again, taking on Martin Boudet, everybody's least favorite heavyweight. But Boudet has stayed around that minus 260, minus 275. It's kind of fluctuated up and down.
Yeah.
Is anybody jumping in here on the Arlovski side that's notable on your end?
Yeah, so we opened up Boudet at 280. Early on, we did get a pretty respected bet on Arlovski, which was good for us. We're happy to see some backing of the old man. I hope he can get this one for the book. But Boudet has been a popular bet at the book as well this week. So that respected money got flushed away real quick when a lot of people were coming in on Boudet at around 230. So now you can see the price has kind of hopped back up to 250. Another one that was kind of fun on this fight is we did get a bet on Arlovski by decision by one of our guys who's pretty good at those method of victories and those kind of props. So that was interesting to see kind of two people aligned in different ways on Arlovski. You got to figure if he's going to win, it's probably going to be a decision. So I can understand
probably a split
that
one
bet.
too.
Yeah. I mean, if he's going to win, that's how I would see it happening. So yeah, that's what we got. Early bet on sharp bet on Arlovski, respected bet on Arlovski by decision, and then an influx of money on Boudet.
Okay. All right, man. I'm on the Boudet side. I don't like being, against the sharps or anything like that, but I feel like this one feels like bait to me. Given that big of a number on Arlovski, a guy that's robbed people with decisions a couple times before. I understand that's how he's done it before. You gotta take it type of thing. But the 3-fight losing skid, man, I don't think this is it. I think he's done and buried.
46 now. I mean, he's
crazy. He's turning 46. Like,
yeah, man, that's crazy. It's really insane that he's still doing the damn thing.
It's pretty wild. It is pretty wild. All right, man. Next up, we got Michelle Waterson taking on Jillian Robertson. And you know my girl, Jillian. I love to go to war with my redhead. can't do it this week, man. Can't do it. We got the big cage. We've got Waterson, who knows how to, stick and move and run around, and underrated takedown defense. So like it scares me a little bit. I'm not laying minus 185. I do think Jillian wins, and I actually have her in my sub special this week. I think one way or another she finds a way to get this thing to the ground. But frankly, that's just like a Hail Mary parlay sprinkle type of thing for me. It's not a big bet. It's not big confidence. I can't lay this chalk. What's going on over there? Anything we need to know?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I feel like out of anybody I know, you're one of the biggest backers of Jillian Robertson. So
Usually.
that's pretty surprising coming from you. But we opened Robertson at 210. There has been some money that came in on the dog, and I think that's kind of why you see the price sitting closer to like 180 to 190 out there right now. We're sitting 180 over here, but yeah, really nothing too crazy on this fight. Early bets on Waterson brought the price down. Waterson. And then we did get some bets back on the Robertson side. So there's been good two-way here. Right now we actually need Jillian Robertson. So I feel good that we actually need a favorite on this early, but I know that could change coming into tomorrow. But yeah, it's nice to know that there was actually a couple backers on the Waterson side. And dude, for me, I feel like I flipped on this fight all week. We've talked about this fight in the back a few times, and I'm just like, I kind of feel like Waterson has a good shot, but then I'm like, am I getting duped again? Because I've backed her before, and she's like 1-6 in her last 7. So it's like, I don't know, man. This is a crazy fight. I know the big guy has been a backer several times of Robertson, and that's in the back of my mind too. So yeah, I don't know how this one's going to play out, but yeah, we got good two-way on this fight.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, man, I've been surprised by the amount of action coming in on the underdog here in this spot. That's not something I really expected, but I get it. I'm not rushing to the window to bet Jillian, and if that tells you anything, I can see the danger on the other side of the cage here. So, interesting. Everybody's kind of seeing the same thing. We'll see if Jillian can pass this test or not. Of course, I'm rooting for her with my heart, just not with my wallet this week. Next up, cannot wait to hear you talk about my boy Payton Talbot. You guys know I've got a 7-unit bet locked in. It is Payton Talbot, and it's anchored on my boy Umar Nurmagomedov in a couple of weeks, and I got a very, very nice price tag on that. However, unfortunately, if you didn't get in when I told you to, that is long gone. Payton Talbot's been as high as minus 2,000 in certain places around the internet coming in here this week. I'm seeing minus 1,600 around a lot. What's going on here, man? What the hell happened? Because he was what, minus 350, minus 400, minus 600, and bang, then we're up over $1. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, so a few weeks ago when we opened this card in Nevada, we opened it at $5, which at the time was higher than market in anticipation that the price would go up. I'm not going to sit here and act like we got this one right because it's sitting minus 2,000. So if we open 500 and it's sitting 2,000, we weren't very close. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy the shift in the pricing because like last fight against Simone, he was a small underdog for part of the prior to the fight, and we had really good two-way action. And actually, I think you were via big guy in that fight, and you were on the right side of Talbot. And yeah, so we did get at minus $5. I'm not going to sit here and say it was super respected because the guys might have just known where the price was going to go and that was the wrong price. But we did get a big amount of money when it was sitting $5. So we did our best to really raise this thing up, and we've gotten some good bite backs at 10-1 on the dog, but it's not we're going to end up needing the dog for sure. So early respected money on Talbot. It's pretty evident in how this one has been booked across the board at every book. The influx of money on Talbot was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think that you guys would ever find yourselves needing Peyton Talbot here in this spot. This has got to be the one dog on the card that's just, I mean, he'll ruin everybody's day if he comes through, except you guys. You guys will be about
Yeah,
as happy as it gets if Giannis Gromori comes in here with the upset. I just don't see it happening,
I
though,
don't
man.
either.
I
Yeah,
don't see it happening. Everyone, I was lucky to be early to the party, right? I'm not the best talent scout we've ever seen in MMA betting, man, but I saw Peyton Talbot coming a mile away. Thankfully, I've already made a couple good bets on him before these numbers got out of control. So we'll hopefully bag one more here this weekend. But until he takes a step up in competition, the numbers are gone, baby, long gone.
yeah.
All right, one of the more intriguing fights here on the card, one of the few which is, well, actually, I say one of the few, but there's a lot of bettable price tags on this card. So I'll take that back. But one of the several near pick'em type price tag cards, ones that's confused me a little bit here, Charles Jourdain and Gene Silva. I lean ever so slightly to the Jourdain side because I just still don't think that Gene is proven enough at this point. I know I'm saying his name wrong, you guys. I can't remember how to pronounce it. That's my bad. One of the fighting nerds, though, I know everybody's obsessed with him. I'm kind of on the hater side of things rather than being on the fan side of Silva because of the 15-minute walkout that he does and the barking. But yeah, so I kind of lean toward Charles Jourdain in this spot, but I haven't gotten to the window with a bet here, man. What are you seeing over there?
Yeah, this one is one that moved a lot as well. I'd say early on, the Gene Silva side was much more bettable if that's the side you were trying to get in on. And I can understand the bets that were at like plus 160, plus 170. But now we're almost down to a pick. So now we're starting to see a lot more Jourdain money. A lot of these people who I don't know if they respect the book or respect the opening line, they're seeing this thing close to a pick, and we're getting a big push. And you're kind of seeing that Jourdain side push back up from a pick up to more like in the 120 to 130 area, because there has been an influx of money on him. But early money on Silva. We opened this thing at $2 on Jourdain. We're sitting 130 now. But yeah, early money Silva, late money Jourdain.
Okay, good to know. And my guy Dream in the chat, Gene Silva missed weight apparently today. We will cover all of that at the Undefeated Post Weigh-In show right after the ceremonial weigh-ins. So come on back this evening, you guys, after the weigh-ins, and we'll talk through all that. But that is a very interesting detail coming in here on this fight. I still have yet to do that part of my research, so I'll go check that out as well. Cub Swanson and Andre Touchy Fili up next. I think Cub's a live dog this week here, man. I understand he's getting old. I know he's near retirement, but I feel like this line has just gotten out of control. What's going on? Did somebody sharp take action on this one where I get a little bit nervous here about a bet on Cub? It's a small bet. It's not a big one, so nothing crazy. But what are you making here, man?
Yeah, we opened up Fili at 190. We're sitting 250 here. We did take a couple bets early on Fili, but like you said, I feel like Cub Swanson in this spot is one of the legs that we're hoping can knock these parlays off at that 2-to-1 price tag. I feel like he's a dog that's going to fight for your money, and I feel like I've had decent success betting against Andre Fili, and I don't know, I haven't got there yet because this price keeps moving up during the week, so I haven't bet Swanson yet. But the way it's looking, I feel like if this price moves up any further, it has to be a dog or pass situation, and that's what the book is looking for. Yeah, nothing too crazy on this fight. I'd say this is one of the lower handle fights so far for us.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. Okay. So next up, we've got B. Joe Pyfer, the man carrying the flag for Dana White's Contender Series, coming back around here, taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. And I like the Pyfer side, man. I think this is a good bounce back spot for him. Another one where I don't know if people are just a little bit surprised at his most recent loss. I'm a little bit shocked the number hasn't gone higher. Maybe people don't believe in Pyfer after seeing his last performance, but I've never been a Marc-Andre Barriault, guy in this kind of a spot. It's easy for me to go, hey, I've never really believed in that guy. I think Joe Pyfer is legit and can get back on track. So, yeah, it's Pyfer for me. What are you seeing over there?
Yeah, so early on, it was all Pyfer money at around $2.10, $2. The price shot all the way up to $3. At that point, we did get a decently sized, respected bet from one of our better UFC guys on the dog here. So we didn't go crazy with this one because the money has been so hot on the favorite that we didn't want to incite more money on Joe Pyfer. I still think he's going to get the win here. But you love to see some of these respected guys who are long-term winners with the book betting these longer shot dogs, because I mean, we got to feel like we have some sort of a chance now when guys who have that high hold percentage come in and take a stab at the dog at like a 3-to-1 price tag. So yeah, I'm feeling like this one maybe has some life. I still like Pyfer, but for the book, we're hoping for the dog here.
Okay. All right. Needing the dog in this spot, and I'm hoping you don't get him on this one. I'm in on Pyfer on this one. Shout out to the chat real quick. Tom, we have not gone over the weigh-ins. This is the Sharp Action Report. The weigh-in show will be this evening after the ceremonials. I'll go over everything for you there. This one's just getting the Sharp Report here from our guy Andrew from Superbook Sports. Everybody, please hit the like button while you're here, and let's get on to these last couple fights. The big one, Ian Machado Gary taking on Michael Venom Page. Man, I am seeing nothing but people looking for Page action this week, but that number keeps on growing. And as an Ian Gary better, that feels pretty damn good. What are you seeing across there, though, man? I gotta know what's the action looking like across the decks.
Yeah, I mean, all I've seen on social media is people thinking this is the time for MVP to beat the bad guy. Everyone wants to see Ian Gary lose, but for us, we actually still need the dog. The money has still been coming in on Gary, and I kind of think that's why you're seeing that price inch up pretty slowly. Early on, when we made the price, all the guys in the back were talking. I was pretty surprised to see Ian Gary as short of a favorite as he was. I thought he would be closer to 60, minus 60. We opened this thing at 30, so it's slowly making its way up there. The more money we've taken on Gary. I don't have really anything too respected on this fight, but yeah, we need MVP right now, and I honestly don't love the spot we're sitting in on this fight because I kind of figured we'd get more MVP action. So
yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that in the market. So are you guys wanting to be needing MVP, or would you prefer it if it flipped?
Yeah, I mean, as we've taken more Gary money, we inched him up trying to bring in some MVP money, which we've gotten a little bit, but I'm not going to say it's been like excessive MVP money rolling in. But yeah, as we sit now, we do need MVP, and we probably should take a couple more MVP bets because tomorrow I'm sure Ian Gary is going to be a popular bet. I'm sure.
Okay. All right. And we have a request. My guy Luke, Sparring with Reality, is asking if there's anything interesting on the total for the Gary Page fight.
Look at the total. No, but I actually did miss one earlier, and I was going to bring it up. Nothing crazy for this total, but we did get a respected bet on the Silva versus Jourdain fight on the under at plus 145. So I forgot to mention that, but that was a total that was from one of our respected customers.
I got to tell you, man, I do a total show every single week, and that total is the one where I said it's a classic Charles Jourdain spot where every single thing that happens in that fight should make it go under, and it just doesn't. Like the way that guy fights, he's so tough. He's so gritty. Somehow his fights end up going the full 15 minutes because he just refuses to give up. And Silva seems to be the exact same kind of guy to me. So I could see it being where like you feel like you got good value plus money on an under there, and it just somehow manages to squeeze up and over and make it to the judges anyway. So I like to hear that there's some respected action coming there on that under, but I've been burned by Jourdain unders before, and I'm too scared to play it.
Yeah, I understand that. You got two guys who are going to go out there and scrap, but I understand what you're saying. He has been to a bunch of decisions.
Yep. All right, man. Next up, I can't wait to hear you talk about this one. Myra Bueno Silva, Macy Chasson. This, if Payton Talbot was not on this card, this would be the biggest move on the entire card. this fight opened up with Myra Bueno somewhere in the ballpark of minus 250, and it's been nonstop love for Macy Chasson. Now, as somebody who has bet Macy in her last 3 fights and been mocked and been called an idiot, and I'm 2-1 in her last 3 fights, right? She's been profitable for me in her last 3 fights, but nobody was on the Macy train, man. Not a soul was on the Macy train. And now they're all piling in here against my girl Myra Bueno Silva. We had a little chat this week about this one, so I gotta hear, man, like what happened, what's going on, and why is this line refusing to flip? Because we got down to evens, and there was a little sprinkle, a little taste of plus money on the Silva side, but it seems like it's hovering around minus 105 or minus 110 now, and the plus money numbers seem to be pretty much dried up. So talk to me, man. What's going on? What happened here?
Yeah, this is a crazy one because, there's a few things to kind of report for this one. So we opened this one up at 220. Currently, we're sitting in Nevada, at least, you can get plus 105. It's been bouncing from plus 105 to even money on Bueno Silva over here. We did get early on, we did get the big guy to come in and bet on Chasson. So from the rip, we did our best to try to get some money on Bueno Silva. We inched this thing down, but the biggest problem was it seems like the public and the sharps kind of lined up on this fight. So a lot of people still were liking Chasson as this thing was soaring down. So it's been kind of a grind to get this Bueno Silva money. And I think that's indicative of why this price is where it is. I told the guys in the back, if you hadn't bet this fight already, I don't see how you could bet Chasson at a pick. Like, it doesn't feel like the play. I get it at plus 170, and some guys even got better prices than that. But we also did get another, I'll give this out as well. One of our guys who does those method of victories, he did bet a large amount on Bueno Silva by submission. And I think that's an interesting prop. And to be honest, I feel like if I was to bet this fight at this price, I would bet the Bueno Silva side as well.
Okay, man. I went on a bit of a Twitter tirade on this one because, like you, I understand when I actually, it's funny because when we get into betting these fights, right, you look at it at first, you see the name value, your brain clicks, and you go, I remember the last fight. I thought I was going to be on the Macy side myself. Yeah, the first thing I thought was, look at all that big plus money on Macy Chasson. And then I ran the tape, and thank God, while I was doing tape, the number had already crashed. So I'm looking at the numbers and going, what the hell? Like the good number that I thought about sprinkling is long gone. And now we're talking about pick'ems. I think Macy should be very firmly a minus 160 favorite in this spot. You know what I mean? It maybe not minus 250, but absolutely higher than pick'em. She is the right side here, in my opinion, man. So I got Myra Bueno Silva in my pocket at minus 115. I saw it dip down to even money, and then it went back up to minus 115. I jumped thinking that it was going to head back the other way. Did not expect it to crash yet again, so I missed out on the plus money. But I'm firmly invested at minus 115 at this spot, and I'm very surprised the market has suddenly decided to love Macy Chasson this week. I think she's just too sloppy on the ground, man. She provides way too many opportunities. Guys, I know I said this isn't a breakdown show. I know this is a market show, not a breakdown show, but did anybody watch her last fight? Because she was in bad positions, in scrambles, and in, I want to say, 3 different submissions against Piani Kinzad. Piani Kinzad, guys. She was in 3 different compromised positions. Did she tap in any of those? No. But if you give Myra even one of those opportunities, she is taking her arm, leg, or neck home, whichever one it happens to be. I think it's knee bar, man. I think she's going to end up in a scramble. Macy will end up on bottom, and then she'll grab one of those lanky ass legs and snap her knee in half. I think that's how this one's going to go because it's going to the ground one way or the other. And I don't think Macy is capable of doing like a stick and move, jab and run type of game plan for 15 straight minutes. She has to grapple. That's the only way she knows how to fight. So if we're hitting the ground, I think it's Silva, and I think it's Silva by sub.
Yeah, I won't say I'm going to bet the Bueno Silva side because I've learned my lesson over the years that I've been here betting against the big guy. His hold percentage on UFC is pretty incredible. So I'm not sitting here saying that I think for sure Silva is going to win. I'm just saying take a look at the price. Like, it ain't the same anymore. Just because he bet it doesn't mean it's the same as a minus 110 bet. So, yeah, I mean, I hear you 100%. I think we're on the same page on this one.
I'm glad you and me are on the same page. And yeah, man, it is rare. It is very, very rare that I am betting against the big guy. You guys know, even just a couple weeks ago, I heard big guy action and I jumped in and tailed. I'm not doing that this week. I'm not tailing. I'm head to head with the big guy, and that's a rarity. So we'll see what happens in this fight. I'm very excited. I feel like I'm on an island here with Myra Bueno Silva, and you guys know I'm most comfortable when I've got a margarita in my hand on the beach. So I'm good. I'm good to go on an island. Let's run it. Anthony Smith takes on Roman Dolidze, the weirdest fight on the card, because this one started out as a completely different fight. Both guys are short notice. Both guys are filling in. Anthony Smith, training partner of Jamal Hill. Maybe he had an angle for filling in on Olberg because they were working on it, preparing for him, and then he can't make it. So Dolidze from the rafters, brand new matchup. I don't know what to make of this one, man. Both guys coming in at the last second to save a spot here on the card. Dolidze is a minus 140-ish favorite. What's going on here? Have you seen any notable action?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this fight has bounced around a few different times. So, I mean, I put up what was supposed to be this fight like 3 or 4 different times because it started from Roundtree versus Olberg, right? Or no, versus Jamal Hill. So it's changed so many times. We actually haven't had too much shelf life with this fight, which is kind of a bummer because it's one of the bigger fights on the card. And it's, like you said, it's a bettable price tag. We're sitting at 140 now. We opened at 150 on Dolidze. We did get a couple bets on Smith, but nothing crazy. This is still pretty light action compared to the rest of the card just because of the shelf life issue, I believe. So I don't really have anything crazy to report on this one. I think, yeah, it really feels like almost a close to a pick'em fight for me in my head. So hopefully we can get some more handle. I'm sorry I don't have too much to give you guys on this one.
Yeah, I couldn't expect much more than that on this one, man. I've bounced back and forth several different times. I feel like Anthony Smith by decision at like plus 350 might be the spot I like most on it, but even then, there's better spots on the card. Both guys coming in short notice, not having time to prep for each other. Dolidze switching weight classes. Yeah. It's all weird, so I'm probably going to leave that one alone. That makes sense. Next up, Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez. Another one where chaos has just been all over the place here, man. Brian Ortega coming in on relatively short notice, and now we have this as a lightweight fight. It is no longer 145. Brian Ortega pulled a Kelvin Gastelum, if you will, and basically in the middle of the night, while Diego Lopez is cutting his way down to 145, his coaches wake him up in the middle of the night and let him know, hey, Ortega's not going to make weight, bro. We got to get 155 instead of 145. So he starts rehydrating immediately. But the hard part was already done. He had already cut down. Ortega didn't look great on the scales. I'll tell you guys that much at least. But we have a fight that is now 10 pounds heavier. And that has not fared well for the people so far in 2024 that have been cutting extra. It seems like the heavier fighters have been the one kind of getting one over. You've got Ortega plus 120, Diego Lopez minus 140, minus 145 in this spot. I'm a Lopez backer. I'm a Lopez believer. I've already got money on Lopez in this spot. I felt like the quick turnaround and setup was bad for Ortega, but that weight issue throws a wrench in everything for me.
Yeah.
What's going on your end of the desk there, man?
Yeah, I would say this was a absolute win for Dana to add this fight. This has been a surprising one for me. I love both of these guys, but the handle on this fight has been crazy. We opened up Lopez at 140. We're sitting 120 now. Early on, we did get some early action on Ortega, and actually the big guy did come in at plus 125 on Ortega here. And so, I mean, you know what the book is looking to need in this one after he comes in. And boy. I won't lie to you. I won't lie. The Lopez money has been pretty easy to write because there's been some strong opinions on that side as well. But like I said, we opened this one at 140. It did get some action on Lopes, but then we got some respected bets on Ortega, and it basically shot the price down to where we're sitting Lopes at minus 130 in Arizona. And yeah, we're looking to need Ortega here.
Okay. Wow, that is disappointing as a guy who's got Diego in the back pocket with all this late noticed last second chaos. The big guy coming in for a second spot this week against me. I'm head to head with him twice. That does not feel good. We did get a question in the chat. Anything on the total for Smith and Delize? I know we said that there's not a whole lot of action on that card to begin with, but anything regarding the total that we know of?
Yeah, we took some bets on the under, but it wasn't anything that like I would have backed for you guys, like telling you guys it was a respected play. But we need the over right now. We did take some bets on the under.
Okay, good to know. Main event time. I might be the only crazy son bitch in here betting Yuri Prochazka yet again, man. It's the worst betting angle in all of MMA history is fading Alex Payton Pereira, but I keep trying to do it anyway for God knows what reason. You've got the champ, minus 140, minus 145, plus 120, plus 125 on Yuri Prochazka, depending on where you're shopping. What are you seeing over there, man?
Yeah, we opened up Payton at a 165. It's sitting 140 now. We did get some early money, some bigger money on Yuri from some guys who are. Time will tell whether or not they're the next big guy, but they're doing pretty well right now on the UFC stuff. So we did take some big bets from those guys on Yuri, and that's kind of why the price has shot down to 140 on Pereira right now. But this is another one that's such a fun fight because people love Pereira. So that money is still going to come in on Pereira. John, my boss, who's a big MMA guy, he's a Yuri backer this week. So at the end of the day, we're looking to need at least one of the two dogs in the co-main or main event, and we're rooting for both of those guys. So
okay,
that's where we're
hearing that John Murray is on the same side as me here this week. That feels good. He may not be the big guy, but very respected nonetheless. I'm on Yuri myself, and I like my guy in the chat. Jake is saying trilogy needs to happen. Yuri winning wouldn't surprise me. And hey, that's part of the angle, right? Is that if these guys go 1-1, they've got themselves a 205 feature coming down the pipe in a couple months, bigger and better than anything with the two top guys in the division. So I think let's go ahead and bet on that trilogy happening. I like some dog action myself. Let's do this thing. Andrew, my man, thank you for doing the show with me. Thank you for all the information. We really appreciate it. If there's anything that people need to know, bonuses or any type of other content you're doing or signups, whatever, let them know how they can support you. What's going on over at Superbook?
Yeah, I mean, the same stuff. We've been getting those boosts up every week. I'm trying to do a much better job on getting these fights out early so you guys can maybe capitalize on being able to read the market. And I feel like we've been doing a much better job at that and trying to take some more big wagers on these fights. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in adding a new book to your index of books, feel free to come over here and check out our content. And yeah, we're getting the fights out there early as the rest of them, and trying to get earlier than on these like potential fights than the other books. And if you guys ever want to reach out and need a fight up or want to fight up, just hit me up on X and I'll get it up for you guys. So yeah, thanks again for having me on. I can't wait for this card, man. It's going to be a banger.
It's going to be awesome, man. This card is going to be so dang good. Even without Connor, like I said, it might even be better. Thank you so much again for the time, man. We appreciate it. Guys, make sure you hang around. We've got the ceremonial weigh-ins this afternoon, and you know what that means. Right after those over, I will go live with that tinfoil cap strapped on tight. I'll give you all the info for the weigh-ins. We'll do one final run-through on these fights, and we'll talk about bets and analysis, and we'll get as much cash as we can. We'll see you guys in a couple of hours. That'll do it for the Sharp Action Report. Let's roll.